During the fall of 2018, the Ohio Department of Administrative Services partnered with the workforce solutions and recruiting firm Dawson to create this presentation about career transition planning. This presentation and other career transition resources are being made available to all employees who may be interested in learning about current trends in job search strategies or to update your resume and enhance your networking strategies for the future. This career transition presentation consists of two parts. The first half will cover information from Dawson to provide you with an overview of opportunities in our state and how to prepare for and conduct an effective job search now or in the future. The second part of this presentation will highlight some common questions and considerations with respect to separation from state service or transition within state agencies. We hope that you will find this information helpful as you continue your career with the state of Ohio or as you pursue other opportunities now or in the future. You can pause this video to review information on the screen at any time by pressing the pause button in the bottom of the video. Dawson is a workforce solutions and recruiting company operating in Columbus, Ohio since 1946. Dawson provides job placements, human resources management solutions, and community workforce programs for premier employers throughout the state. Each year at Dawson, industry-specialized recruiters review over 100,000 applications and resumes, interview over 10,000 job seekers, and start more than 7,500 people in jobs across the state. This presentation will cover the job search process from self-assessment and exploration to specific insights on building a powerful resume, navigating job boards, using various online tools, and maximizing your opportunities. We would like to start with a brief overview of the opportunities that are available in our great state. You may not realize it, but Ohio is home to 25 Fortune 500 companies and 45 Fortune 1000 companies. There are 30 companies throughout the state that have over 10,000 employees. Some of these largest employers are shown here by industry. As you can see, we have great educational institutions and a significant number of jobs provided by the state. We are also home to many leading financial institutions, healthcare systems, and distribution and manufacturing facilities. The diversity in employers and industries is an encouraging factor for anyone embarking on a job search. The change in Ohio's regional employment over the last 8 years is something really positive. What's interesting to note is the growth that we are experiencing throughout the state. There's job creation happening not only in central Ohio, but across the state. Based on the percentage of population aged 25 to 34, Columbus is among the top 10 cities for millennials. They are choosing to live here because of the job market, and that speaks volumes about our state as a good place to work, live, and play. There are 3 Ohio cities in the top 10 major Midwest metro areas for private sector job growth. This means more opportunity for Ohioans due to the strong efforts of Jobs Ohio and other regional development authorities. This job growth isn't just in manufacturing and distribution. For example, Columbus was recently ranked #1 as the best city to work in technology, as reported in the Business Insider. In addition, Columbus won the first ever U.S. Department of Transportation Smart City Challenge, which awarded Columbus $50 million to invest in the reinvention of transportation to drive economic growth. These are just a couple of the great things happening in Ohio cities for job opportunities. The graphs on this slide show us the growth in specific occupations and demonstrate the supply needed to meet the workforce demands in these sectors. The first graph shows the actual job growth in the state over a 7-year period. As you can see, we have had a significant increase in the number of workers over a variety of industries. The graph on the right shows the job demand demonstrated by job postings in a sample 90-day period. To meet the needs of our state's current job growth, these are the skills, both transferable and technical, that employers are seeking. These are the in-demand skills that should be highlighted in a job seeker's work experience when you're applying for a job, and we'll go into more of that later. Continuing our look at the job market in general, here's a quick glance at some companies that are new to Ohio as well as those who have experienced tremendous growth recently. I hope that you're excited to see companies that you have never heard of, as well as some long-standing brands, all creating new workforce opportunities. Here is an overview of some of the current trends in the workforce. As you review this information, we would like to highlight just a few. Millennials are choosing us, and because of that, it's another reason employers are moving here. Employers go where there is an available skilled workforce. We have found that millennials first choose where they want to live, then they choose an employer. It's a little different than past trends. Currently, the U.S. labor force is growing at a slower rate than previous decades, which translates to more opportunity for us. Generation Z is also entering the workforce. This is the first digital age generation that is tech-savvy and eager to join the workforce. They grew up with phones in their hands and technology all around them. This slide illustrates the future of the workforce. The old paradigm was based on the traditional route of gaining a 4-year degree and working your way up the corporate ladder with the same employer your entire career. This is no longer the norm. The new paradigm is based on agility and lifelong learning. This is the new model, and it's happening now. To continue to be successful and advance in your career, you learn throughout your career, whether that is training within your organization, going back to community college for a credential, or obtaining a specialized certification. It's literally learn, work, learn, work. The key is you never stop learning. This shouldn't be something that you find intimidating. Rather, it should be exciting and energizing. Employers are prepared to support this paradigm by sending their workforce for additional training and education. And in many cases, employers are providing the financial support for additional education. That's the conclusion of our opening and the overview of Ohio's economy and job growth opportunities. We hope that this background information has left you with a sense of optimism about your current state of employment, as well as any upcoming or future opportunities you may be considering. We'll turn next to the job search process. Regardless of your current position and experience, searching for a new job can be overwhelming. Whether you're currently thinking about a job search or if a job change is farther in your future, we would like to walk you through the process, step by step, so that if and when you choose to do so, you can find your optimal new job within state government or in a different industry. We're going to cover the topics listed here, beginning with self-assessment and career exploration. Before you walk into an interview or even write a resume, we encourage job seekers to start with a self-assessment to help you reach your job search goal. This activity will help you organize your skills and experiences to write your resume and will also help you identify what types of jobs you should start researching. In considering your self-assessment, you should start by first considering your skill set, identifying what you can do. Are these skills technical? For example, proficiency in a software, or are they transferable, like managerial or writing skills? Once you have a good feel for your skills, you can then look at general occupations that interest you. In other words, identify what it is that you want to do. Consider, are there specific industries or organizations that interest you? Is there somewhere you have always wanted to work? What about location? A long commute can have a detrimental effect on one's productivity, so it's no surprise it's a key consideration when applying for jobs. In addition to your skill set, what are your core competencies? Your core competencies are your knowledge and on-the-job abilities. Think also about your personality traits, particularly work-related. Are you team-oriented? A strategic thinker? A problem solver? I know these are somewhat generic, but it is important to identify your traits in the self-assessment process. Once you have had a chance to consider these topics and assess the positive attributes about yourself, think about how they will translate to potential employers. When starting to explore jobs, compare your self-assessment to the job criteria and think about how your strengths make you an ideal candidate. Then you'll be ready to sell your strengths to a potential employer. To help you with conducting a self-assessment, There are great resources online, many of which are free. OhioMeansJobs.com is a fantastic resource that not only provides a job board, but a self-assessment tool, a career exploration tool, and job search support. Other online tools focus on personality, interests as they relate to work, career exploration, and career planning. You might want to explore any number of these tools before beginning a job search. Now that you're on the path for exploration, where do you want to work? What's available that aligns with who you are and your skills? When you start to explore job opportunities, job boards are a good place to start. Do some research. See what organizations are hiring. Search company websites and their social media sites. While you're researching, take note of the culture and environment that is usually evident through their online presence. Does what you see appeal to you? Could you envision yourself working at this company? You may also want to ask yourself whether you prefer a public or private sector job. Do you prefer to work in government? Do you have an interest in a private sector industry? Maybe you're thinking about working for a nonprofit organization. Maybe you're open to any of these opportunities. Now is the time to see what's available and how these opportunities align with your interests. After your self-assessment, you might realize that additional education might be a good option to improve your credentials for certain jobs of choice. Again, it's becoming less and less common for someone to graduate from college and work their way up the ladder at the same organization throughout their career. But it doesn't mean you have to immediately head back for another 4-year degree if you are considering a career transition. Many options exist, including credentialing, certification programs, and even training or specialized courses. Many organizations will often pay for education for employees. You can research information about benefits on most organizations' employment websites. It's also important to understand that if you don't have all the skills needed for a job, employers understand and may pay for the right candidate to earn these additional credentials or further training. Now that we've reviewed self-assessment and career exploration, let's move on to preparing a resume and cover letter. Understand that your resume is a direct reflection of you and that you're using your resume to sell yourself to a potential employer. There are typically 5 resume elements that are necessary for any resume. First, your contact information needs to include your name, a phone number where you can be easily, readily, and privately reached, and your personal email address. If you don't have an email account, Google.com offers free Gmail email accounts. It's best to use a contemporary email address. For example, AOL addresses appear out of date among today's email domains. Second, you'll need to include an objective or summary. A summary, which can be customized to the specific qualifications of the job, is the preferred approach and should include a brief overview of your skills, experiences, and goals as they relate to a specific job. It's usually a few sentences or a bulleted list just under your name and contact information. Your summary is a way to draw the attention of a hiring manager. An objective statement is better to use when you're just entering the workforce or have significant gaps in your employment. Use the objective statement to highlight skills or focus on your career goal. Third, your resume should include skills that you discovered in your self-assessment and are customized to highlight the experience or skills relevant to the specific job. Your skills can be presented in a specific section or perhaps a call-out box on your resume. Fourth, your professional experience or job history should showcase your accomplishments and how they are directly transferable to the position you are applying for. Your professional experience will also list your employers, job titles, and dates of employment. Last, your resume should include a section on education and awards. Here you will list details about your education, relevant certifications, and awards you may have received. There are several acceptable styles to consider as you prepare to write your resume. You should think about your experience and skill set to determine which type of resume might work best for you. The most common style that is familiar to hiring managers is a chronological resume. This resume style highlights your work experience by positioning this section first, and in reverse chronological order, leading with your most recent position. A functional resume focuses on your skills, abilities, and achievements instead of on your chronological work history. This is typically used by job seekers with gaps in their employment history or who have limited work experience. A combination resume includes strong or unique skills and achievements at the top of the resume or those that are relevant to the job you are applying for, along with your employment history below. Finally, a non-traditional resume could be an infographic, online portfolio, or personal website. This style is useful when showcasing a particular skill needed for the job and is most often utilized in the design or creative industries. Here are some general reminders about resumes. Do not use acronyms in your resume. We understand that in your work life, acronyms are quite literally a way of life. But outside of your current organization, many of your familiar acronyms don't resonate. Make sure that you proofread. Check spelling, tenses, pronouns, and consistency. Ask someone else to proofread your resume too. A fresh set of eyes always helps. You don't have to pay for someone to provide a well-written resume. Just use your network to gain some feedback. Save your resume as a PDF because sometimes Microsoft Word documents aren't delivered in the same format when emailed. This may cause problems with your application when you upload your resume to a job application site. You don't need expensive software. Microsoft Word allows you to resave a Word file as a PDF. You'll have a Word file to cut and paste from into an online application, and you'll have a PDF file to upload with your application. We are often asked about the appropriate length for a resume. The answer to this really depends on how much relevant work experience you have. For example, you don't need to include unrelated seasonal or part-time jobs you had in college if you have since worked in a specialized field for the past 10 years. Leave those early jobs off your resume and you may only need one page. In general, a one-page resume is standard for anyone that has less than 5 years of experience. A two-page resume is acceptable for someone with 5 to 10 years or more of work experience and allows room to detail relevant work history, accomplishments, and any technical skills required in a position. We usually recommend keeping a resume to no more than 2 pages, but in certain situations, a 3-page resume may be necessary for executives with not only extensive work experience, but leadership skills, accomplishments, licenses, or certifications that are relevant. 3-page resumes are unusual and should be avoided. You should adapt your resume for each situation. Target and customize your resume to each job title that you're applying for. This is significantly more time-consuming, but it provides a stronger connection between the job and the job seeker. You can use the job description to align the content of your resume to the job. Many organizations now use applicant tracking systems to search for qualified candidates from large applicant pools. These systems help employers to quickly analyze resumes to identify candidates that best match the position. If your resume includes keywords that are included in the job description, your profile will be more likely to be identified by the applicant tracking system. If you're interested, there are free online tools that can help you to customize your resume by common job descriptions. Jobscan.com is one of those tools. When writing your resume, it's best to be as clear and concise as possible. Lead with your biggest achievement for each position and be specific and detailed. Quantify your results and use storytelling, explaining your impact instead of simply listing tasks and duties. Also, make sure to include your LinkedIn profile URL link so employers and hiring managers can find you on LinkedIn. Remember, your LinkedIn profile is an extension of your resume and might be the first place that you get noticed by a recruiter. We'll talk more about this later. Once your resume is complete, your next step is to work on a cover letter. A cover letter is a tool to help introduce yourself in a memorable, personal way to the hiring manager. Think of it as the first impression, sharing a glimpse of your personality. Cover letters should be tailored to each job for which you are applying. Standard elements of a cover letter are an introduction, specific examples of relevant work experience tied to the needs of the position you are applying for, and a conclusion, including a call to action. This is your opportunity to sell yourself to the hiring manager. Be sure to explain how your experience and skills meet the job requirements and why you want to work for the organization. Your goal is to convince the reader that you are the right person for the job. Again, make sure your cover letter is customized and memorable. Research the organization to get a sense of its culture and use that as a guide to gauge how formally you need to write. You're supposed to showcase a little bit of your personality in your cover letter, but keep it professional. Use your cover letter to tell your story and use the job description as a guide to do so. Be honest, and as always, have someone proofread it for you. Now that we've covered self-assessment and resumes, it's time to look at LinkedIn and other social media platforms. These social media tools can be used effectively to boost your profile, extend your resume, and get you noticed by hiring managers. It's where you can create and cultivate your personal brand. Before we dive into the why and how of posting on social media sites, it's important to first think strategically about creating and promoting your personal brand. What is your personal brand? It's the unique way that you present yourself to others. It's who you are, what you do, and what you are passionate about. When starting a job search, you have the chance to further market yourself and your career using social media platforms in a consistent and professional manner. To start, you might begin with a brand audit. Google yourself. What do you find? Does it positively reflect you and your career? Is there a common theme among the items you find? Did you find anything at all? Did anything show up that shouldn't? To effectively boost your personal branding, you should demonstrate your personality with interests and hobbies while staying professional. Build the right network by connecting with colleagues, managers, and others who know you and might be willing to help you and are good influencers. Be active on social media, but only when it makes sense, so that you're relevant and it's not forced or contrived. Social media plays an influencing role in job searches. You might be surprised to learn that 70% of employers use social media as an informal screening tool when evaluating candidates. Therefore, it's important to present your personal brand and your experience through social media. Employers want to find you online. If they can't, 57% are less likely to interview you if you can't be found online. So make sure to have good profile information, be consistent among sites, and check your privacy settings to ensure that potential employers and recruiters can view your online profiles. Social media sites can also help you find job opportunities. Most of us are familiar with LinkedIn as a job board, and we'll cover that in more detail shortly. You may not realize that Facebook has a job board now, and it's also an easy way to message contacts for assistance with your job search. You can also join relevant groups. Instagram is a great tool for you to gain insight about the culture of an organization, and for employers to gain insight about your personal interests and hobbies. If you're an active Twitter user, it's another great place to reinforce professional affiliations and position yourself as an expert by posting relevant information related to your profession. YouTube is a great resource for video samples and ideas, particularly if you're in a creative profession. Much of your social media time should be spent on LinkedIn, so we're going to spend a little time talking about LinkedIn in particular. There are a few must-dos to make sure you have a dynamic, optimized presence on LinkedIn. This sounds trivial, but make sure you have a professional-looking, updated photo on your LinkedIn profile. Research shows that LinkedIn members with photos have 9 times more connection requests, 21 times more profile views, and 36 times more messages. That's a lot of activity to miss out on just because you haven't posted a photo. You can enhance your personal brand and stand out even more by writing an attention-grabbing headline on your LinkedIn page. Your headline can quickly explain what it is you do and what you're passionate about. You can see a few examples on this slide. Write a headline and give people a quick glance at who you are. After you post an attention-grabbing headline, write and include a compelling summary. Your resume summary is a good place to start. The focus of your LinkedIn summary should be on career accomplishments and aspirations. You have more room in the summary to provide additional details and information. Here's where the extension of your resume comes into play. Use your LinkedIn profile page to detail your work experiences by position. Again, start with your resume and use information from your resume to build the experience section of your LinkedIn page. LinkedIn members with up-to-date position information receive 5 times more connection requests, 8 times more profile views, and 10 times more messages. Your LinkedIn profile is like an online resume for anyone looking for candidates. It's a convenient way to stand out and get noticed. LinkedIn also gives you the opportunity to add examples of your work under each job experience listing. You can upload relevant photos, videos, articles you wrote, or presentations of your work. You can also include awards that you have received. Adding some multimedia to your profile is a great way to tell your professional story in a visually appealing way. Another way to expand your profile and get noticed is to add relevant skills and endorsements, including both transferable and technical skills. LinkedIn makes it easy to select from a list of suggested skills or enter keywords. Just select or enter these skills to add them to your profile. It is recommended that you add at least 5 soft and technical skills. The other thing that you want to do is get endorsed by supervisors, colleagues, direct reports, and other contacts. It's okay to ask relevant contacts to endorse you. Some active users of LinkedIn are accustomed to giving endorsements and may do so even without your request if they know you are looking for a new job. Members with 5 or more skills are found in searches up to 27 times more by recruiters, and endorsements give you added credibility. As you continue to set up your LinkedIn account, don't forget about the opportunities to join professional, industry, and focus groups of interest to you. Groups are extremely important to further promoting your interests and expanding your networks. LinkedIn has over 2.1 million groups, so there is something for everyone. Join any group that makes sense for your industry, education, background, or position, and then participate in discussions within those groups. You can meet great connections here and even learn of job opportunities before they are published. Think of it as online networking. Now that your profile is updated, you've added skills and endorsements, and you have joined a few groups of interest. It's time to engage effectively on LinkedIn. If you're currently looking for or open to new job opportunities, make sure to turn on the Open to New Opportunities option under the Jobs tab in your preferences. This will allow recruiters to see that you're actively looking for a job. You will also want to customize your public LinkedIn URL. Your URL is the most direct way for someone to find you on LinkedIn. To customize your URL, click Edit Profile, and then Edit Profile URL following the parameters posted on the Edit page. When you do this, you can eliminate the need to provide a long LinkedIn-generated URL and can instead shorten it to just your name or other relevant description. Be sure to include your custom profile URL on your resume and personal business card. Connect with the professionals inside and outside your organization. Share, like, and comment on status updates, including job opportunities and articles. If you are sharing powerful content, you are positioning yourself as an expert in your field. Write deserved recommendations and continue to stay active. don't be afraid to ask for endorsements and recommendations from supervisors and colleagues. It's completely acceptable. If you do all these things, you will become an active member of LinkedIn, and you'll increase your visibility and the chance of getting noticed by hiring managers and recruiters. If you want to take full advantage of all that LinkedIn has to offer, you can choose to upgrade your LinkedIn account to a premium paid plan. Subscriptions are monthly and are usually $30 per month. You can sometimes get a free trial for a month to see if you like the features. The paid subscription provides direct messaging to recruiters even if you're not connected. You will also be a featured applicant, standing out to recruiters when you apply. You will open up access to online video courses, and you'll be able to see everyone that's viewed your profile and how they found you. You will be able to see how you compare to other applicants who have applied to the same job as you. A particularly nice feature allows you to see salary insights without sharing personal data. A premium plan isn't required to effectively engage with LinkedIn, but you might decide that it is right for you. It's a personal decision. Armed with all that information, you're now ready to start applying for jobs. In this section, we're going to talk about job boards, networking, interviewing, and job search resources. Job boards are a usual first stop in the job search process. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the national leaders, but there are local resources available for you too. There are different types of job boards. Standard job boards are some of the national leaders where employers pay to post jobs on a particular site. These include Monster and Career Builder. Indeed, another well-known job board, is the largest with over 25% of the market share. Indeed is a job aggregator that pulls posted jobs from many other job boards. You can go on Indeed and any of these job boards to search for available jobs that might be of interest to you. Social media job boards are the second biggest category. LinkedIn is the most prominent, but Facebook has recently joined the job board market too. Regardless of the type of job board, from a job seeker's perspective, they all essentially work the same. There are also very niche job boards such as Dice that focuses on IT job opportunities, or eFinancial Careers that posts finance-related positions. Ladders focuses on executive-level positions across all industries. As I mentioned earlier, OhioMeansJobs.com is a great free tool to utilize. In addition to the job board, its job and career readiness section provides tons of great insight, training, and other additional resources. Glassdoor is a great tool for finding opportunities, but also for reviewing employer ratings and reviews from current and former employees. Of course, you know how to use the Ohio Hiring Management System to stay connected with additional opportunities with the state. You can also look at different association and alumni websites that often have a job board component. Again, essentially they all do the same thing, but it's in your best interest to tap into as many as possible that are relevant to your job search. And don't forget about watching the job postings for specific organizations of interest to you. So what do you do once you get to a job board? Fortunately, they are all very user-friendly. Automate your search and set up alerts so you will be notified with new job postings that match your skill set and interests. Many of the national job boards have apps to make applying for jobs mobile-friendly. You can set up a custom dashboard so the job board keeps track of all the positions you have applied for. One of my favorite tools that some of the job boards offer is the salary trends capability. You can search job titles by location to get an average salary and see if it's above or below the national average. Having salary comparisons in hand can help you when it comes time to negotiate the terms of a new job. It's also important to be aware of spam or scam job postings. These are normally easy to spot if you pay attention to the organization's email address. If it's coming from a Yahoo or Gmail account, it's probably not legitimate. Watch for misspelled words in the email address, as this can be a sign of a scam. On-the-spot offers without an interview should indicate something's not right as well. Also, be mindful of any kind of payment request. Job boards are free to the job seeker, so don't be fooled into paying. In addition to searching for job postings on job boards and social media sites, there are other services available to job seekers willing to pay a fee for services. These include career services organizations that provide career coaching and counseling, help with resume and cover letter writing, and can assist you with building a dynamic LinkedIn profile. These organizations offer individual one-on-one services, and some also offer small group workshops you can attend to help with your next career move. Headhunters, on the other hand, are normally independent contractors. They are hired by an organization that is willing to pay the headhunter to look for high-quality talent. A headhunter can also be hired by a job seeker to find positions for the individual. Headhunters are usually specialized by industry, working on high-level, urgent, or difficult to place or fill positions. They are also sometimes hired for confidential searches. If contacted by a headhunter, it's always best to discuss their payment structure up front before engaging. In addition to career services and headhunters, recruiters are another typical resource. Recruiters might be employees of a specific organization, and their job is to find and recruit new employees for open positions in their organization. There are also recruiting agencies like Dawson that work with numerous organizations to identify and fill open positions as requested by the organization. Recruiting firms are paid by the businesses that hire them. Job seekers should never be charged a fee by a recruiter, but always double check. Recruiters are often involved throughout the process by searching for qualified candidates, pre-screening applicants, and interviewing before making a candidate recommendation to the employer. A recruiter can help you present your best resume and guide your interviewing strategy. Let's go a bit deeper about staffing and recruiting firms. Again, Dawson is a staffing and recruiting firm and is available to anyone who might wish to submit an application for consideration, including you. Staffing and recruiting firms are a great resource that every job seeker should consider using. Such firms should be one of many approaches, but not your only means for finding a job. A benefit to working with a staffing and recruiting firm is that you have a better chance of getting noticed by the right people who are hiring. Your resume gets in front of the right people, not just submitted into a job board where it may or may not get noticed. Staffing firms sometimes have access to positions that aren't publicly posted because organizations rely 100% on their staffing partner to find them a qualified candidate. Staffing and recruiting firms can also make the job search process easier. Job seekers meet one recruiter who can potentially send their resume for multiple positions and employers that match their skill set. They are also there to provide personal support. Dawson's recruiters develop one-on-one relationships with their candidates. They assist with resume revisions and interview questions. They also help job seekers understand the opportunities available for a particular profession. Dawson's services are available to anyone free of charge. The easiest way to connect with one of Dawson's industry-specialized recruiters is by filling out an online application on its website at dawsoncareers.com. There are numerous other staffing and recruiting firms available to you throughout the state. Consider which option might be best for you. Networking is important to your job search because it allows you face-to-face interaction. It's a great way to meet new contacts, grow your network, and learn more about the organizations in which your contacts work. There are a variety of networking opportunities. All you have to do is search and ask around. Business socials, association meetings, media-sponsored business events, and alumni meetings are all worth checking out. Don't be afraid to ask your network for advice about their recommended networking events. If you don't have an updated business card, have one made. It's inexpensive and easy these days to create business cards that can serve as a mini resume in networking settings where it would be awkward to distribute a resume. Job fairs may seem designed for entry-level candidates, but some are worth attending. Check out the organizations that are attending, and if you're interested in working for that organization, Regardless of the position, meet the recruiter attending and drop off a resume. The recruiter is likely to follow through by passing your resume to the appropriate recruiter within the organization. Anytime you establish a new connection, take the time to follow up with a LinkedIn connection request. Reach out with an email or make a phone call if it's a connection that can directly help you. Remember, networking is a two-way street, and you must participate to gain information and opportunities from those in your network. We have covered a lot of job search tactics, but these are all very common practices for job seekers. We would encourage you to find ways to stand out from the competition. Don't just go through the minimum steps. Go above and beyond to take your efforts to the next level so that you stand out from the competition. Your number one goal is to build relationships. Don't hide behind your resume, application, and email. Reach out. If you apply for a job online and know or can find the hiring manager's name, send an email to him or her expressing your interest in the position and giving some brief information about why you're qualified. Or better yet, pick up the phone to create a personal connection. Even if you only get to leave a message, you've briefly presented yourself to the recruiter. Connect with your recruiter on LinkedIn. Look for other people that you know who work at the same organization and connect with them too. If you really want to work for an organization that isn't currently hiring, send a letter to an executive to tell them why he or she needs to add you to the team. Ask to be kept in mind for the next appropriate opportunity. Again, make connections to meet recruiters, employees, and leaders in an organization, even if they aren't hiring right now. Once you've taken the right steps and made the right connections, you're sure to land an interview. What you do during the interview process is just as important as the steps it took to get there. We're going to go over some things you should do before an interview, some tips for how to make a good impression, and some pointers for things to do after an interview that will make you stand out. We're also going to touch on tips for negotiating a job offer. When you get a request to interview, make sure it's somewhere you want to work. In addition to a culture check, research the organization's core values. Check its online ratings from the employee's perspective on Glassdoor and the customer's perspective on Google and Yelp. Google the organization. Has it had any recent news? Is it a stable organization? Who's running the organization, and what are they like? Most websites include executive and leadership bios. You don't want to run into any surprises during or after the interview, and you will be more prepared for your interview by doing your homework. There are different types of interviews, so make sure you are ready by understanding the various formats and asking the right questions. First off, it's very common for an employer to schedule a phone or Skype interview for a first-round meeting, or if you are out of town. Sometimes the Human Resources Office will conduct a phone interview to screen the first round of candidates. More likely, you'll participate in a traditional one-on-one in-person interview, which is most common. You will meet with a recruiter or hiring manager where you will be asked straightforward questions that allow you to share work experiences and learn more about the position and the organization. An interview with a panel of organization representatives is common for a second or final interview. This format can be a little more intimidating since you will be interviewing with multiple people all at once. This is normally done to save the organization time and to get a collective opinion or consensus about the candidates. It's helpful to you as a candidate because you get to interact with people from different parts of the organization. Behavioral interviews follow a similar format as a traditional interview, but are based on discovering how you may have acted in specific employment-related situations. The logic is that past performance predicts future performance. They will ask you to give specific examples of an occasion, goal, or situation focused on your ability to effectively solve problems. Group interviews are most often used for entry-level positions where employers can quickly pre-screen candidates from among a group of applicants. These offer a great opportunity to learn more about the hiring organization. While participating in one of these types of interviews, take the time to interact with other candidates, as the hiring manager is usually watching the interactions that are naturally happening within the group. Lunch interviews may happen on a second or third round interview, and may be the last meeting before an offer is made. The more casual setting offers the interviewer the chance to see if there's a culture fit, and other team members might also be included. Whatever the format, interview questions can vary among organizations. If you want to do a little research, there are many online tools that provide commonly asked interview questions to help you prepare for your interview. But if you've done all your prep work and put a little thought into how you want to sell yourself, you will be prepared to answer any question that is thrown your way. The following are simple strategies for highly effective interviewing, published by Dawson based on its more than 72 years of interviewing and recruiting experience. Many of these may seem like common sense, but all are great reminders. Anticipate. We have already discussed the research you need to perform prior to interviewing. Your goal is to be as prepared as possible for the expected and the unexpected. Know where you're going and where you are going to park. Anticipate traffic. Arrive early and wait in your car if you must. There is never an acceptable excuse for being late for a job interview. Relax. Interviewing can be a nerve-wracking experience, but try to relax. Collect your thoughts. Compose yourself and breathe. If you have prepared yourself prior to the interview, you will do just fine. Be honest. It is in your best interest to be truthful with your interviewer and with yourself. Don't exaggerate your qualifications and tell the truth. You don't want to start off under false pretenses. You always want to make sure that you're being honest with yourself about the job you are considering. You want to be a good fit for the organization, but you also want the organization and the job to be a good fit for you. Assure. Be confident throughout your job search process. When you go for an interview, dress for the part. It can boost the way you feel about yourself and how you act. When in doubt about the organization's culture, it's always better to be overdressed than underdressed. You'll feel better that way. You want to demonstrate that you're a friendly, approachable person. Smile and shake hands confidently. Interact with those you meet and your interviewers. You want to make them feel comfortable about the prospect of working with you. It's also important to stay self-aware, keeping yourself grounded, and following the lead of the interviewer. Inquire. The recruiter or hiring manager shouldn't be the only one asking questions. Interviewing is a two-way street. If you are engaged and inquisitive, it shows you're interested. If you've done your homework, you will be able to speak intelligently about the organization and to ask appropriate questions. Speaking of questions, what are acceptable questions to ask during the interview? Ask anything that hasn't been covered in the interview and is not available in the job description or on the organization's website. A good question might be something like, what are the biggest challenges that someone in this position would face? Or, how will you evaluate my success in this role? By asking questions, you can uncover any red flags about the company or the position. You need to feel assured that this is the right organization for you if you receive an employment offer. It's appropriate to ask about the organization's culture or about the team you would be working with. You can also ask about the organization's future. What are its goals over the next 5 or 10 years? Where are its growth opportunities focused? You can always ask the interviewer about himself or herself. How long have you been with the organization? Why did you choose to take a position here? What's your favorite part about working here? It's very important to end the interview with a wrap-up question regarding next steps in the decision-making process. Reiterate that you're interested in the position, if you are, of course. Ask about a timeline and if there's anything further you can provide to assist in his or her evaluation of you as a candidate. Always take a list of 3 to 5 questions with you to an interview. When you're preparing your list, there are a few questions that you should never ask. Never ask questions about benefits or salary in a first-round interview. This is never an acceptable topic during a first interview. Normally, this will be discussed during a second or third interview. Don't ask questions to which you should already know the answer. Employers expect that you are going to do your homework by at least reading the job description and researching the organization's website. Finally, don't ask too many questions. Be prepared with a few key questions that will demonstrate thoughtful preparation on your part. Watch the interviewer's body language and engagement with you about your questions. If he or she seems ready to wrap up the interview, don't insist on asking all of your questions. Ask your top 1 or 2 questions and stop. Like your self-assessment before you started the job search journey, there are certain things you should do after every interview. First, take time for a self-assessment. Reflect on what worked and what didn't. Ask yourself if you missed anything. What did you like about what you learned? Do you have any concerns about the organization or the position? Next, follow up. Follow the timeline stated in the interview. If your interviewer said that he or she would touch base with you in a week, and it's been a week, then you should absolutely follow up to check in. Some hiring managers purposefully don't follow up to see who takes the initiative to reach out. If you weren't able to ask or get a clear answer regarding follow-up timing, a week is an acceptable amount of time to wait before you follow up. You want to show interest and initiative, but you don't want to come across as desperate or annoying. You also need to be gracious. You can send an email thank you to the interviewer on the same day as your interview, but you should also take the time to send a handwritten thank you card. Be sure to thank each person who participated in your interview. One easy way to get this done is to have note cards in your car and write them while you are sitting in the parking lot. You can drop them off at the post office or leave them with the receptionist. When you get home, connect on LinkedIn with everyone that participated in your interview. That will again show you're interested and allow them to view your profile. It also keeps you at the top of their mind. Include a personal note when sending a request to connect rather than relying on the default message. It's also important to notify your references to let them know that you interviewed and that they might receive a call. The interview process can be full of mixed emotions, excitement, anticipation, sometimes disappointment and frustration. But use the entire process, both good and bad, as a learning experience to improve your job search. Once you have received an offer, don't be afraid to negotiate it, or at a minimum, strive to fully understand what your offer entails. Salary is the obvious and normally most important part. Understand your value. And if you've done your research, you know the salary range for the position and the market. Don't be afraid to negotiate. But if salary isn't something they are able to adjust, ask for other considerations, such as additional vacation time, a flexible schedule, work from home options, or additional benefits. If your new position includes relocating, make sure you have all the details of your relocation package. Is it a one-time relocation bonus? Or are they covering all your costs associated with moving? These benefits could include moving expenses, travel, home selling, and mortgage assistance. Finally, be sure that you understand the benefits package for your position. Do you understand the differences in paid time off? For instance, vacation versus personal versus sick leave. Do you understand benefits eligibility requirements? Do you have to wait a certain amount of time before you begin to receive benefits? It is now very common for organizations to no longer cover a spouse if they can receive benefits, such as medical insurance, at his or her place of employment. This is important to understand. Be sure to ask about any other perks included in the offer. More and more organizations are adding supplemental benefits such as health memberships, complimentary meals, company car, and an expense account. We've come to the end of the first half of this presentation, and with that, you're now ready. You're ready to conduct a self-assessment, explore career opportunities, write an effective resume and cover letter, utilize social media, job boards, and networking to search for a job, interview positively, and negotiate effectively. You have all the tools and information you need. You can do it.